Hi, this is Koshik Ranchod from the Ranchod Law Group. Today we're going to be talking about marriage-based green cards. One of my favorite topics and one of the most popular types of cases that we handle. First of all, people think that if you just get married, then you're going to get a green card. But it's important to note that an approval is not automatic just by getting married. You have to go through actually quite laborious steps in order to get your green card. And the immigration officers are going to scrutinize your application to ensure that you have a real marriage and that your application is not just for getting immigration benefits. Let's take a look at the procedure in filing a marriage-based green application. First thing that you'll do is you're going to file an application with the USCIS with a host of forms. Some of those forms are the I-864 affidavit of support, and there you show and demonstrate that you are able to support your spouse who's from another country by demonstrating that you're 125% above the poverty guidelines. So what if you're not above the poverty guidelines? Then you can get a joint sponsor. You may also be able to use assets in certain circumstances as well. Then you also have to submit Form I-130, then the G-325 forms, the I-131 and the I-485 and the I-765. And those are some of the forms that you submit in the marriage-based green card application. Now, you'll also be asked to support a host of documents. I'm just going to talk about some of the most important ones that I want you to be aware of. You need to have if you've ever been divorced, certified copies of your divorce decree. You want to have the judgment, so you don't want to have the notice of entry of judgment. That's where a lot of people make mistakes. You want to, of course, have a copy of the certified copy of the marriage certificate. So not the wall hanger, but make sure it's a copy of a certified copy or the actual certified copy itself. For the beneficiary, you want to have your birth certificate. You're going to need passport photos for both of you. The beneficiary will need a medical from a designated USCIS physician. Those are some of the most important documents that you'll need with your application, but there are more documents that you'll need than that. And when you contact our office, we can go into detail about that. Another popular question that we get is the processing times. How long is it going to take? Well, generally, it takes anywhere. We get cases approved sometimes as fast as 3 months, and then sometimes it'll take as long as 12 months. I would say an average time is around 4 to 7 months, but that also changes depending upon the government's backlogs, and processing times are always changing. So let's go back to the first step. You file the application with the USCIS. Then after that, you're going to get a receipt notice, usually within a month. Then after that, they're going to issue fingerprinting notice, and that's also called biometrics notice. That's where you go in, get your fingerprints taken. They take a picture of you and you give your nice smile if they allow you to, and then in that situation they do a FBI background check, make sure you don't have a criminal record. If you do have any kind of criminal issue, you need to contact an attorney because it's very serious. It could cause you to be removed depending upon the type of crime that you have, and I would not want you to file an application if you have something that makes you removable. Even if it's not going to make you removable, you need to make sure that you present your application in the right manner, provide the correct documents. Okay, you have the fingerprinting appointment, and then the last step is that you're going to have the interview scheduled. Normally they give you about a month notice before the interview is scheduled. That time, the interview is going to evaluate and review your joint documents that you provide them and your affidavit of support documents, to make sure that you do qualify for the green card, that you have a real relationship, that you meet the affidavit of support requirements, and that you also don't meet any other inadmissibilities that would make you ineligible for the green card. After that interview, then typically within a month to 2 months, you should get an answer and then get the green card. Now, if you've been married for less than 2 years, you're going to get a conditional green card. That means that you need to remove the conditions after a year and 9 months to get your permanent green card. And you can apply for citizenship after 2 years and 9 months through marriage. And if you're not married, you would get citizenship normally after applying after 4 years and 9 months. That's the green card process in a nutshell. I hope that this video is very helpful for you. And until our next video series next week, I'll look forward to talking to you then. Thanks and have a wonderful week. And I want to acknowledge all of you who are coming to this country, making a better life for yourself, and in turn making our country better and making your family better. All of this takes a lot of courage, a lot of conviction, and not everyone can do it. Thank you so much, and give us a call at 916-613-3553 if you have additional questions. Click on the pictures above that best describes the service you're seeking. I'm attorney Kaushik Ranchod with the Ranchod Law Group. Whether you're trying to determine the type of visa or green card you qualify for, or just need tips on what to look for in hiring an immigration attorney, we have the answers. My team of professionals is comprised of many immigrants, and we understand how complex the process can be on your own. Give my office a call today for a free consumer's guide on hiring an immigration attorney.